Aloha, everybody.
Okay, so let's see.
Let me know if you can hear me and all of that great stuff. And Tim Hogue just asked, how is the Weechie? The Weechie is napping. Hopefully he'll stay out for a nice little chunk of time. You'll see me on occasion looking over just because he is currently, as I said, napping, but I have the little monitor over there so I can just kind of look and make sure that he's actually out. It's so cool. I love getting to see how all these folks from all around the world. This is really exciting. Folks from South Africa, Germany, the Netherlands, all over the United States, UK. Thank you guys so much for joining us and spending some of your beautiful Sunday with us. And those of you in Australia, I guess it would be Monday. Oh, and Mexico. How cool is that? Awesome. This is so cool.
Now, just a reminder for those of you in the chat box, I highly recommend clicking that thing that says top chat with the little arrow and actually go to live chat.
Yes. Yeah, the live chat is a lot. I don't know why they even have top and live chat. I would rather just see the live chat and be good, because I know that when we have question and answers and people who answer first, if you're in the top chat, other people will look like they answered first, even though in the live chat it's different. It's very odd. But anyway, that's so cool. Oh, Pete. Hi, Pete. Happy belated birthday, by the way. So this morning we're going to be doing, I'm going to kind of go through a very brief walk through our ArtistWorks website, because I know many people, they say, I'd like to just know what's there first, and so our thought is, well, okay, we'll show you. And we've actually had a lot of people request more information about it, so we thought we'd just use Soundcheck to be able to just kind of take you through it before we get started with the sort of meat and potatoes of today. So thank you guys who came at 10:30 to be able to join me for that. The dynamics portion of this live stream will start at around 11.
Oh, hi, Eric. Yeah, I definitely recommend clicking where it says live chat with the little arrow and clicking that. I mean, it's where it says top chat, and then click live chat.
Yes.
To make sure you're kept up to date on everything that happens live. Sometimes it gets a little screwy, so.
Yeah. So, trying to think if there was anything else that I was going to mention, but I'm glad. So you can hear Craig, that's good, and everybody can hear me just fine, which is awesome. So thank you. It's very I love doing these sound checks with you guys, because it's the only way we can really tell how things are sounding on your end. So, because it's funny, on occasion we'll get it all set up, it'll sound good on our end, and then something happens when it goes to YouTube, and we have to fix it. But luckily, everybody can hear me just fine, which is great.
Oh, we love our Berlin crew. Feedback from Sarah's mic. When you say feedback, what?
Is it a squealy sound, or is it?
Because I can bring your mic down just in case.
Okay. Awesome.
We can try that. Let's see how that goes.
Okay, so let us know if you still hear some kind of feedback or anything like that coming from my microphone. Just let us know in the chat. That would be really, really great.
Yes, this will, like all of our live streams, they will be recorded and saved, and you can watch it at your own pace. Let me switch my camera for a second. Aloha, everyone. I'll make this little. Do that. One of the things that it's so great to see our ArtistWorks students here. One of the big things that we forgot to mention so far today is that there is no pre-made PDFs for today. We might be doing some live kind of work with the iPad, and that, like all of our other free workshops, will be put on our website, that you can download all the material from other live streams as well. In 2 weeks, we have a really big workshop. I think we called it Exploring Chord Melody.
Yes.
And Sarah put together a really nice 9-page PDF for that workshop, and that's what you can purchase for like just we asked for a $5 donation for that on our website. People have been paying extra just to help with people who can't afford the $5 right now in this really crazy time. And thank you so much for all of you who have already done that.
Yes.
But that's going to be great in 2 weeks. Today, again, the game plan is, spending the first about 25 minutes going through just ArtistWorks as a demo, because we had so many questions. We thought it'd be easier just to do a little quick video on that with you guys live, and then we'll be inviting Neal Chin to have a little workshop and discussion about dynamics. When to use them, how to use them, and why. That's and I'll say this again and again. That's one of the biggest things that can change your playing. A lot of people think they have to keep adding techniques to create something new. A lot of it is actually being able to manipulate what you already do and create all of this extra texture and sound just from playing with dynamics. So we'll kind of get into that at 11 o'clock Pacific time, which is in about 25 minutes. It's going to be fantastic. And, while Sarah is going through her demo on ArtistWorks, if you guys have any questions, I'll help relay that to her while she's going, so she doesn't have to keep up with the chat. And I want to make a point saying, if there are so many so many hard things that a lot of us are dealing with during this time, and even if you feel like you just need a soundboard, just someone to talk to, we might not get back email wise as soon as possible, but we'll always go through emails, and if you guys need someone to talk to and just chat, please feel free to email us. I mean, I know there's many of us. I mean, we're lucky. We live together. We have the baby to keep us occupied, and I know for a lot of people, they're away from their family. They can't be with their friends, and they're trying to stay as safe as possible for everyone. And it can get really, really hard. So if you guys need someone to chat with, please just reach out, and we got your back. All right. Now, with that said,
awesome. I'm glad there's so many people who are excited about having me go through the ArtistWorks things. As I mentioned before, that was actually one of the suggestions that people made when they were donating to our other live streams, because we do have a thing when you
for the chord melody. Yeah.
No, the ArtistWorks things. We've had people who, when they've donated in the past, you can actually write, suggestions, things you want to learn. We've had people say, I want to, learn more about ArtistWorks. So I'm really glad that we get to do this with you guys today. The chord melody is exciting. That's another one that has been on the chopping block.
That was a huge request.
And so we're going to go through that. The cool thing about that one is that it's in essence, it's for like advanced beginners. However, I've got some intermediate stuff intertwined in there, because we're also going to discuss how to create a chord melody, but also different ways that you could play the same line, because there's more than one way to do things. And so we're going to talk about different ways of playing. That way you can kind of find your own style that you like, or mix and match and things like that. So it's going to be really, really cool, I think. I'm very excited to be doing that class. And that one you'll see when you go to our website, which is craigandsarah.com, and just click on live streams and videos. When you scroll down, you'll see where the packet is for you to be able to purchase / donate for the packet. We do have most of our live streams have free PDFs on that same page. If you scroll down just underneath the June 28th packets, you'll see an email sign up where it'll direct you to the page where all the free PDFs are for as many. I know all of our most recent live streams. I'm going backward actually and putting up the ones from 2018 and stuff like that. So if you're wanting something from a more recent live stream, it's already up in there. Today, if we end up creating PDFs while we are live, we will put those up later today. So I would say give me 24 hours to get whatever we write up during today's up on the website, and you can go back and you can actually download that tomorrow.
Yeah, so for today's demo, we'll be walking through for prospective students, as well as kind of going through of how to utilize, even for current students, how to utilize the curriculum and the program as best as possible, because there are some things I'm still learning. Like, I didn't realize that the different subscription and that I'll get into it later. But one of the benefits of doing the year subscription is not only is it cheaper per month, but you also have unlimited amounts of video exchanges. And Sarah will get into what video exchanges are and why that's so important. Do we also sell ukuleles?
Oh, I just wrote, said we do not sell
Not
ukuleles.
yet.
But what we do have though is if you wanted to get a brand new kanilea from Kanilea themselves on the island of Oahu, you can call or email them, and if you use our code Chi Maisel, our last names, you actually do get a discount if you want to get a new kanilea. But we don't actually sell kanileas. So I guess, is it time for me to get into the demo?
Yep.
So I'm gonna pull that up. So basically what I'm gonna do is just kind of walk you through the website real quick. I'm already logged in and stuff, and as when Craig can, he's gonna pop my laptop screen up so that you can see it, and then I'll kind of just do a very brief walkthrough of what we've got going on and all of that great stuff. Sweet. So thank you so much, Craig. He always works so hard. So are we up, baby? Sweet. So here we are. When you log in, this is what you see. You see, the ukulele with Craig and Sarah, all of that great stuff. You see this row of tabs here for the home page, lessons, video exchanges, study material, submit a video, forums. So this is all stuff that you have access to no matter what level of subscription you have. And there's this area here called the shout box. Think of it kind of like, I guess, Twitter in a way. If you just want to, say a quick note, you can write in there. You can see that, there's many students that have written things. We try to kind of hop in every couple of days to at least check that and make sure we didn't miss something. But if you have a pertinent question, we always say, please go to the forums or submit a video to us and we will answer your question. Underneath the shout box, you'll see that we've got messaging, actually. So if you see a friend's online, or if you see I'm online, you could actually hit chat and talk to me. You get me. So it is for real. And Craig, would you mind checking on the WeChi for me?
Mm-hmm.
So then you'll see, let's see. Oh yes, we have over here, we have a sort of a welcome message thing, but we have, some of you students may or may not know this, we actually have underneath where my mouse is, view video message archive. That is an awesome treasure trove because it has got all of these different, it has a lesson that Craig did about changing strings, different interviews we've done with friends of ours. It's really great. So if you're a current student and you haven't clicked on this little tiny button there, I would highly recommend it because there's some really cool stuff. All right, so let's actually just get into the lessons tab. So if I clicked on that, oops, except I should actually really click on it. There we go. You'll see these other little tabs pop up here, right? So we have beginning lessons, and you'll see all the lessons pop up over here. And if I, there's a whole bunch of them in the beginning section. And no matter what subscription you have access to all of the lessons, beginning, intermediate, and advanced. But if there was something specific I was looking for, there's the search tab. I could, rainbow. Oh, look, somewhere over the rainbow. I could look at that lesson if I wanted. Also, I could look at intermediates. All of that will pop up as well. And I'm just going to click on a lesson. Let's take a look at the movable scale here. So you'll click on the lesson and it'll pop up, and you'll see here we have exchanges, and I'll talk about that in a sec, submitting a video, lesson material. So this one actually has some lesson materials. If I were to click on that, you'll see here there's a PDF of movable scales that I created to go with this lesson. And this one actually is a one short lesson, but a lot of times our lessons are broken up into little bits. So I'm just going to pause it and kind of flip through so you can see that there's multiple angles. This angle is one of my personal favorites because it's like what you see when you look down, which
it was crazy. I think they had like 6 cameras up during the whole time we were recording so that they could really find the best one for that particular segment. And actually, Laura had a great question. Our local library offers ArtistWorks. Am I seeing the same thing that you are showing off?
Yes, the local library does actually have the exact same thing.
Is it the full curriculum?
The only thing that you can't do with the library, if I remember correctly, is you cannot do video exchanges. So that you can watch the lessons, but you will not be able to submit videos to us for us to be able to look at and then submit back to you. But that's it. There might be a few less lessons in it. I feel like it's the same curriculum. The only thing it wouldn't have is the VIP content, which you only get with the 12-month subscription. And that is just different things taken from other schools about improvisation, reading music, etc. But excellent question. Yes, and yes, you can find our ArtistWorks program at certain local libraries. And if you would like to have our program at your library, chat with your library about it, because we do actually have a program set up to be able to have that. So thanks for asking. So back to this video, one thing that I love that if you are, say, have issues hearing or understanding, underneath the video, underneath this red line, you'll see it says show transcription. And there is the entire thing transcribed, and it will actually highlight when the video is playing here what he is, where he is. And I just think that is the coolest thing.
And for Jody's question about in the video, can we just do a section rather than the complete song? That's actually how we recommend using those video exchanges to its max form, because again, a lot of times that's what we need to focus on when there's a little bit of a trouble spot or transition.
Yes.
That's the best way to use these video exchanges.
So what is a video exchange, since we're already talking about it? So basically what it is when you have a question for us, if you want to show us your progress, or if you just want to share a song with everyone, you will upload a video of yourself. And you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do it from, if it's a specific lesson, you can do it specifically here where it says submit video. There's also a submit video tab here as well, where it will then take you to another spot where you can pick the lesson that you're submitting for. If you're submitting a song that's not in the curriculum, there is an area called other tunes, and you can submit there. But basically, you submit a video, a couple of days later, we answer you via video. And it is directly to you, and we love it because we love getting to help you grow as a musician. And this is just a really great way to be able to do that virtually. One thing to keep in mind when you do subscribe is that the amount of exchanges you can do varies. There's a 3 month, 6 month, and a year. The year gives you unlimited amounts of video exchanges. I believe the 3 month you're only allowed 5. And I can't remember how many you get with the 6 right now.
12.
Okay.
It says. I'm looking at the thing because someone had a question on the plans.
Yes.
Current and ArtistWorks does have sales.
Yes.
We don't really have we have a 15% off code that Sarah can write real quick in the chat. But the current prices that they state is for the 3 month plan, it is $35 a month. For the 6 month plan, it's $30 a month. For the 12-month plan, it's only $23.25 a month, which is way cheaper than even doing like private Skype lessons and stuff like that. So that's actually really good.
Now, the one cool thing about video exchanges is that you actually can see everyone's videos. And you can learn a lot from your fellow students. That's another thing that's super cool because you actually get sort of a view in on a private lesson. And because they're all tailored to each specific student, there's a lot that you can learn just by even going through the video exchange library, which is, if I just scroll up for a second, you'll see this tab that says video exchanges. If I were to click on that, all of these videos will appear. I'm gonna hold off on that right now, but just that's something that I just think it's super cool, because then you can really learn a ton, not just from our lessons, but from all of the little mini lessons we've been doing.
And there is a question about wondering if video exchange turnaround time can be improved. It really depends. Sometimes it if we have the full day of work to be able to get through, we can it takes a day or less. When we're traveling, sometimes it can take up to
longer.
a week because there's just no time to do it.
Yeah.
Where sometimes, let's say there's a 30-day challenge and we're going through, you know, 30 video exchanges a day, that will also make things a little bit harder to do like instantly. So typically the average wait time for a VE is between probably 3 to 5 days, and that's pending on, because again, if it gets uploaded like before right before we go to sleep, you know, or there are some times where we just, especially with the baby, we just don't have the hours in the day.
Yes.
But we are doing our best
Yes.
to keep up.
And every school is different, because it's all sort of teacher dependent. And that's, for us, our goal is to be able to get to you, you know, in 3 to 5 days. But as I mentioned, every teacher is different. So, but thanks for asking.
Yeah, this is something we even, like when we were on tour, we were like in our hotel rooms doing these things in between, like workshops and stuff.
So one other thing with the videos too, you down below near this red bar, if I click on this eye, you'll see all of this cool stuff you can do. You can actually loop different sections of our videos. So if there's a section where you want to play along with Craig, you can totally do that. As well as some of these other really awesome things. I'm not going to do too much here, but I'm going to, just so you know, click on that and play around with that. Also, there's this little clock here that slows down the video, but the audio stays at the same pitch. So you can slow things down. So if you're having trouble seeing what Craig is doing or what I'm doing, you can slow down the video and the audio will not be, pitch-wise will not be affected, which is pretty darn cool. So you can still play along at that slower pace.
And Charlie, the question about, you know, how much time investment a week do you need to do this? This is what really kind of sealed the deal with working with ArtistWorks. A lot of times, you know, one week we have tons of time to practice for a lesson. Some weeks we have no time. Life happens. And so the beautiful thing about having all of this kind of pre-recorded, but with the option of doing those video exchanges when you do get stuck or want some extra help, that's what really, you know, we have people that are, you know, going through after work late at night or when the babies are sleeping, or, you know, so it really is at your own pace. There's no push, there's no rush to try to, you know, it's all up to you. That's the really beautiful thing about this.
Yeah, and you know, there's something to be said for being able to practice and work in your pajamas while you go through the lessons at your own pace. And I just pulled up another lesson just to kind of show you how a lot of times lessons will be broken up. We try to have them be, you know, 8 minutes and under for the sections. That way you don't get overwhelmed and you can always just move on to the next section if you've got a lot of time. So yes.
And for Regina had a question about for the beginner lessons.
Yeah.
I always say, even if you're a seasoned player, we still have people that have been playing for years that have gone through from the start and found holes in their foundation. They found different ways of holding the uke that they've never really tried before.
It's true.
And we have a lot of great exercises in the beginning as well. So that's, you know, even if you blaze through the beginning part, I always recommend going through the start, because you never know some of these gems that you might find.
It's true. So I'm at the holding the ukulele lesson. One other thing that you do see is there's an area that says comments, and then we can show them where we have.
Sorry, Charlie. So that 12-week course is completely different than the ArtistWorks school, and thank you for bringing that up. So what do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I'll let me chat about that. So, okay, there is our ArtistWorks school, and then there's this new certification program. So the ArtistWorks school itself is the original, and you have access to every single lesson that we have recorded. And that is something that is really something that we really love, because you can go at your own pace. You can do, several video exchanges, etc. Whereas with the certification course, we have set specific lessons, and you only have access to those specific lessons during certain weeks. And it's much more structured, and you only have 3 video options that happen, which are assignments that are specific that we give you. So the certification, the reason why this program was created is it's actually a pilot program that we're trying to get put into schools, because they are accredited lessons, and the students will actually get college credit high school students will get college credit for taking the classes. So it's a really cool idea and program if you want a lot of structure and you don't mind not having access to all of the lessons that we have recorded. But a lot of times we tell folks, especially adult learners, doing the traditional school in many ways will give you this sort of leeway to be able to work at your own pace.
Yeah, plus you get to join the whole community that we have in the forums and whatnot that you don't have access to with the certification program.
Yes.
But yeah, that one is much more geared to students.
Yes. But thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yes.
We appreciate it. So all I was just going to say is that there's an area underneath every video where there's comments where people talk about, various things, like this person saying that they used to have a death grip, etc. And so you can go through and write comments and things like that. We try our best to get to these comments as quickly as we can. Sometimes, everything is very interactive, and so we really try hard to read everything. On occasion, something might slip through the cracks, but we do try really hard. Then if you're looking for specific study material, that's what this tab is for. But I just want to click on forums real quick.
And someone asked about the tagging system. Do you know how that works?
So tagging system, I believe, is for you, so you can tag stuff for yourself. Let me go to a video real quick, and I can pull that up. So
yeah, and again, while she's doing that, all of these have the PDFs that were created for each lesson. There's for some of the song practices, there are backing tracks that we made. We really tried to have everything that you could possibly want or need.
And if there is a song that does not have a PDF, so we try to do a mix of PDF and no PDF, because to us, part of the learning process, it's important to be able to take your own notes. I find that things stay a lot better in my memory if I actually write notes. So if it does have a PDF, print it out, write notes on your PDF, and keep it in your notebook, just like you would for a regular lesson. It's important in order for you, because we don't have absolutely everything always written in the PDF, and that is the reason why I was very sneaky about it. But so tagging, here we go. There's the little tag button. And so I can type in a tag. I can say, what key of F. There we go. And so if I'm looking for this, I can always go into the search bar, type key of F, and this one should pop up my tag should pop up for me. So there's that. Hopefully I answered that for you.
Now, backing tracks are like, sometimes we just have a bass, sometimes it's just us playing rhythm or us just singing.
Yes.
And that's how you can kind of practice along with that lesson.
And the backing tracks we played with metronomes. Some of them, I'm going to click on this. So for this one, play-alongs, backing track, When the Saints Go Marching In. This one, we just played at one speed, but there are some songs where we actually played at multiple speeds. That way you could pick 80 beats per minute, and then the next one is 120, depending on the song. I believe we did that with the tune Guava Jam, actually.
Yeah, and for the certification, again, it was mainly set out to help high school students get college credit, because there is actual... theory, there's
Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. So, with the certification program, it's not just ukulele. There is a how to read music. We do not teach that section. We only teach the ukulele portion. There is a music theory and improvisation section. We do not teach those. Those are other teachers. There's also a performance section where there's a woman who talks about performance anxiety, how to get over it, etc. So there's all of these other teachers that are involved in the certification program as well. Thank you for reminding me about that, Craig.
Yeah, and then the duet section is just, I think,
yeah.
Sarah and I actually playing through some of the performance songs that we're learning in the curriculum itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yep. I think oh no, I guess we do play through all of these in the curriculum. I was thinking there might be one where we don't. And then we also add lessons on a you probably just heard Cameron. He's awake.
Let me see.
But one other thing that we also do is we add lessons. So we just put out a forum post to our students asking them for suggestions of things that they're wanting to learn, and all of that great stuff, whether it be songs, techniques, etc. And we take that and then we create new lessons. And we go to ArtistWorks Studio, which is in Napa, California, and we go through and film 6 hours a day for X amount of days, and create new lessons for the program on a semi-regular basis. We also do these 30-day challenges. You might have seen that 30-day challenge tab. Now these are actually ones that we can make at home, and there's a few of those. We're going to be doing more of those this year because we're going to be home. But most of these you only have 30 days to submit a video about it. And we tried to just give you something that maybe the challenge might be, work on X lessons and utilize, this technique in a song that you already know and love. And, please upload the video for us so that we can see how you're using it, etc. Sometimes we make them fun challenges, like Halloween. We'll say, dress up, play your favorite Halloween song, and you'll get badges from us and things like that. So we do try to be interactive in that respect as well, using those 30-day challenges. And those are little mini lessons that we record from our home.
Yes, and one of the great things about the video exchanges as well is that if you have a performance coming up or an open mic and you want some help on the arrangement, or be like, how do I make this fancier?
We can help you.
That's a great use of these video exchanges. So again, there's so many ways to make this cater to what you need. That's one of the beautiful things about this program.
Yeah. And I'm just going to click on the tab, the video exchanges tab. Sorry. Except apparently I'm very bad at this, but look, there's like all of these videos of folks that they submit videos to us. And then Ashley, I'm going to pick on you for just a second.
Oh, I'm so excited for her performance.
So this is one of our students, and you can see she's working on that. And if you wanted to, you could look at Craig's response. And this is, you might recognize that view of Craig as he is responding to all of the questions that she had. So, but I think that's a very fast but kind of quick walkthrough of, some of the different things that you can check out and all of that good stuff. There's more stuff, but I just I want to make sure we get to the meat and potatoes of dynamics. So, but hopefully let me know if there's any other questions you have about any of the things that you're seeing, etc.
And right now, actually, we have a forum post that we are asking students, what do they want added to the curriculum? What are some things they want for us to be able to do more of? Because it's important for us to be ever evolving, because things change, and as we get better, we want to have harder things as well. But so there's so many different ways, again, to really get the most out of this. So it's been really fun, and for us, again, having those video exchanges made it so worthwhile, because we didn't want just videos out there. We wanted to be able to interact, and there's some video exchanges where it's just, oh, that looks great, why don't you try just this little bit difference here or this angle here, and it makes such a big difference. So what equipment do we need to record? Some people only have iPads or iPhones, and you can actually record on the iPhone
Yep.
and go to Safari and log in and submit your video that way as well.
Yep, it's super easy. And then somebody was asking, is there a 30-day challenge on right now? Not right now, but we
Soon.
are working on
Soon.
one. Yes.
Yes. And we have so many things in the works. We're just excited. There's just so much to do.
Oh yeah, Stefan, I did see what you wrote in the forum about that. Thank you. I actually, after your post, I wrote Craig and said, hey, we've got some people already writing some really great things. So thank you for the suggestions that you've made.
Oh, and I did have a question that came up in emails actually, because we kind of went through a couple different mic changes, and we were able to test these amazing mics, and after about a day of testing, we actually bought a couple of them. But this is the one that's in front of me now. Let's see if I can hide my face there, maybe. Yep, there we go. Roswell. This is the Mini K47. Amazing mics for the Ukes. We have some demos coming up very soon, but they're just incredible with the Ukes acoustically. And Sarah has their, I think they're 87 on hers for the Barry tenor.
Yes.
But we'll be announcing more plans with these guys later. But I just wanted to have a quick shout out to them. Just amazing to work with so far. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions before we bring in Neal Chin?
Does a subscription allow you to access other instruments too? No, it does not. You'll have to pay. Your subscription is to a specific school. So the only way you get access to some of the other schools is if you have a 12-month subscription. There's an area called VIP content in the lessons. It's only available to you in 12-month subscription, and that has actually. I'm going to click on that tab right now just to see everything that's in it. Also, every subscription does have access to the music theory school, which is taught by a really awesome guy, Jonathan Cooper Smith, and he uses a piano for a lot of his lessons. But basically the VIP content is improv, ear training, and there's some bluegrass mandolin stuff in there. But those are from different schools, which is pretty neat. So you could kind of see how those other teachers teach if you have that 12-month subscription and you're looking at VIP content. For those of you that are like, how do I find the music theory school? Would you mind putting my screen up for me for a second? Thanks. So if you're looking for the music theory school and you're already a student, go up here where it says welcome and your login name, click on that arrow, and then it's going to be listed in this little area, or there it is, Music Theory School, right here. Free, Music Theory School, free acoustic guitar. So you do actually have access to Acoustic Guitar 101 and the Music Theory School with your subscriptions. So there you go. Thanks, Craig. All right, I'm gonna grab Mr. G.
Yes, April, we actually do have like just bought my ukulele beginner players as well, because we do go from everything from how to tune the ukulele, how to hold it properly without hurting yourself, bar chord ways to play it without, again, pinching too hard or anything like that. So yes, we have a whole spectrum of students, which I love, because that's the whole joy of this instrument, is to have that variety. And yeah, it's great. I love, for me, I always love seeing people have that light bulb moment, because I've had people that emailed me in the past 10 years, is always saying like, oh, I was always nervous to take classes from you or workshops because I thought I wasn't good enough. But even though you're doing beginner workshops, and to me, like, that's the best time, when you want that structure and that experience to come through. You don't necessarily, so to me it's like that. Sorry.
Thank you guys for letting us know. I didn't realize Michelle mentioned that the Guitar 101 is now $19.99.
Thanks, Michelle.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting us know.
But yeah, and again, thank you for letting us kind of talk about it, because we just had so many questions, and we figured it's just easier to kind of walk you through walk you through this. Now, I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna put
You gonna put
this
me up? Why you call Neal?
I'm gonna put that up.
Oh, fancy.
So Neal Chin.
And that's actually a picture that Craig took of Neal on our last cruise.
Yes, that is the Kanalea giveaway ukulele. We can see the little lasered inscription there.
Yes, Neal is awesome. Many of you guys might already know him, but he is just a really great player, just a really wonderful, kind soul, and just a really wonderful friend. And so I feel so lucky that we get to have him join us today. Some of you might remember him from our mini fest. He was there for that. And then also he does his own Facebook Lives, and they're pretty fun.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, so I think Craig is getting things.
And so we drag Neal around with us as much as we can, and we just had to announce that we are moving dates for our sold out San Diego retreat later this year. But he's going to be on board for the next one as well with Milo Fultz. And let's see if I can bring him up. Let's do this.
And as far as our cruises go, I'm thinking right now, just with how everything is up in the air, of course, right now we're looking at potentially 21, but we'll kind of see what happens. It might have to go to 2022, but we will do the cruises again. But we just want to make sure that it's absolutely safe first before we go and do that.
And also, if there were questions that we missed, please feel free to email us. I'll write the email in the chat. If we can help with anything else. Now, that said, Mr. Neal Chin, hello, aloha.
Hi, Neal.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I didn't see you there. No, just kidding. Happy Aloha Sunday, friends.
Yes.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it is Sunday. Oh my gosh. Oh,
I know.
Oh my gosh, my days are so funny kind now.
And somebody asked, are there any more tickets for San Diego retreat? Right now, I would contact our agent Marion. Just go to our website and click on the San Diego Uke Retreat and contact her through our website. And she'll be able to chat with you about that.
Yeah, there were some people that got refunds. A lot of them stayed.
Yes.
But there is a waiting list that jumped up 3 times in the past couple months. So that definitely connect with her and she'll help you out for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, Neal Chin. When did we get a chance to first meet you?
I want to say 2016, was it? Maybe? No, 2015. Something, one of those years. 2015, yes.
That's awesome.
That's right, in Eugene, Oregon. I saw, was it Bill left a thing, was it Neal, the Pacific Winds guy in Eugene for quite a while? Could have been Craig, so I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Depending on what year it was.
They made me that studio and then I left. I felt so bad.
Which, thank you. It was a lovely studio.
So for those of you who don't know, I went to school in Eugene for college and I stayed up there doing music. And there is this amazing little store called Pacific Winds and they had workshops and lessons and I was on this huge momentum with everything and they said, oh, if we build you the studio, would you teach out of the store? I'm like, that sounds amazing. And then I met Sarah, and then I lost San Diego versus Eugene. But it was great that Neal actually moved in Eugene 2 weeks after I left, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
It was amazing.
Really close.
So it was just perfect in the sense of because I didn't want to have to fight Neal, so no, it was great. It was amazing. So I heard about this guy, moved into Eugene, and was just an amazing uke player and teacher. And I was like, oh man, I'm really bummed because that sounds fantastic. And we got to meet, spend some time with Neal later on, and just everything clicked from personality to style of teaching, and which is why we've had him for a lot of the events we've done, and always will showcase Neal in what he does for the youth community, and how much you can see his passion from everything that he does going straight to that community. There's never been a question on that. And yeah, we can't thank you enough for being here today, Neal. And I'm gonna do this once, and I'll do it once at the end. I don't like doing this all the time, but we're gonna any of the tips today, we are going to be splitting with Neal. So if you guys do want to kind of invest in what we're doing, and have the means to, again, please don't. I want to make sure you guys are okay first. But if you guys have the means to and you want to invest in more things like this, please go to paypal.me/chimezel, and any of those PayPal tips that we received today will be split with Neal for joining us today. All right. So, Neal, can you talk about, before we kind of dig into the dynamics and why that's so important and how life-changing it is,
Yes.
talk a little bit of what you've been doing online recently.
Sure. Yeah. So, with a lot of this transition and all this kind of newfound time at home, and also kind of anticipating doing all these performances this upcoming year, this was definitely going to be my busiest year yet. But with all that gone, I'd still kind of have a lot of this itch to say to perform and play, and of course, obviously connect and teach with you folks. And so one of the things that I've been really enjoying is on Monday mornings at 10 o'clock. I've just been streaming right on Facebook, and it's really casual. It's just exactly like this. Sometimes I'll put up chord charts and we'll just like talk about ukulele and music, or sometimes I'm half waking up, so maybe I'll just play some songs or whatnot. But it's been a kind of a fun way to start the week and kind of just talk story and whatnot. So that's on Facebook Live, Neal Chin, every Monday morning at 10 o'clock. And also, I'm also actually streaming every Wednesday as well, off the Koaloha Facebook page as well for the program Koaloha Live. So yeah, it's been a really fun way to keep playing and make sure those fingers, kind of stay fresh too. So.
Nice. For the Wednesday, is that mainly performance compared to the teaching stuff on Mondays? Okay. And I know there's other artists that are featured as well on those Wednesdays. Who else is featured?
Yeah, it's an excellent program that they put together. So I'll start the week off on Wednesdays, and then after that will be Kupoa, which is a Hawaiian duet from Kauai. And they're fantastic and really great entertainers as well. So I'd highly recommend checking them out. And of course, alongside of that as well, on Fridays and on Saturdays, we also have Kainoa Kamaka from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And he's awesome. If you need a little bit of energy or some positivity, my goodness, hard to beat.
I met him in Australia, and it was just, oh my gosh, a pocket of energy and just like aloha. It was amazing. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
He's a performer too. Watching him dance is super cool. So. And Joe Guam is on Saturday too, all the way from Guam, and he's another amazing, real positive individual putting music out there. So
nice.
You want to check out some stuff?
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Dynamics.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
What and why?
My goodness, yeah. Where do you start with all of this? Dynamics is such an important element in music. I mean, we can just pretty much all safely agree on that, I'm sure. But the way that I always kind of thought about it is, when you're really working on notes and chords, and so let's just lump it all together, right? Let's just say notes as a very rough term, right? For, let's say what you're doing with your left hand and whatnot. A lot of that type of playing tends to be very one-dimensional. And when you add things in like dynamics, pay attention to, other aspects as well, like timbre and stuff like that. Like that can really add that extra kind of third dimension and really make your playing from like being black and white to kind of being in color. And
I like that. I'm stealing that.
I was thinking because it really is. It's like 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional because, if I play, right, I can play it straight, but I can maybe dynamically start a little bit bigger and go down, and now there's that extra dimension, right? Just is a little bit more nuanced. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing when you think about dynamics too is just, again, think of it as a speaker.
Hmm.
Again, the instrument is another voice. If you all if you talked at this level the whole time without any nuanced dynamics at all, it would be so boring and weird to listen to. It's just, it's the same. It's the same
Yes.
thing. This is how we control the tone of our voice, and not only that, but the inflections that we give our own voice, that we can make a statement. We can, is it a question? Yeah, these are the same type of things that you can apply to your playing, and right off the bat, it just opens up so many more doors to tell your story. It's just, and I'm gonna, we'll get into a little bit later about how to practice some of these things, because again, I get a little, not upset, but I get a little bummed when, like, we learn something but don't realize how to, like, apply it or practice it, right? Because then it just,
Yes.
then you don't use it. So I know we have a couple things to give you guys to really work on that and focus on that. And there is, and that's the thing too. There is comments, going up, getting harder, going down, playing softer. That works as well. Another thing to think about too is, what is your starting point?
Mm,
Because again, if you think your starting point is here and you want to make something louder, you only have, again, that much wiggle room to play with. But if you think down
yes.
here is your starting point, and then all of a sudden that whole range is yours to play with. So
Mm,
the first tip that I definitely want to push is, when you're practicing at home, practice like 40% softer than you think, because it will
ah,
give you extra room to play with. And not only that, but that control playing soft is hard. Playing loud is easy because you can just go full force. But to really hone that in, you have to be able to control those soft notes and still have that tone and still have a little bit of that volume to push through.
right.
So that already is just, one of the biggest things is practice softer.
Hmm.
Even when you're on stage, the adrenaline kicks in, and you're gonna end up playing a little bit louder than normal, just because, right?
And faster. And faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so
Indeed.
start slower, start softer, and already you're gonna feel so much more control. What were some of the biggest things that you did once you started applying these kind of concepts in your playing?
I think the the biggest lesson for me was actually playing and when I was gigging a lot on Oahu. Because what I was doing, I was playing with anybody and everybody who would let me play with them. So I would just hop between all these
Mm.
different groups. And at that time, I was really kind of focusing on just blues because I was still trying to be Stevie Ray Vaughan at that point in my life. And so, because of that, right, the thing that I like about that is blues is such a great lesson in dynamics
Mm.
because it's so visceral, because we talk about, all these changes and whatnot, and, creating depth and change and all that stuff
Yeah.
that's really important. Um, but sometimes it can be a little hard to perceive when we're by ourselves or sometimes even on a smaller instrument. And, playing in these kind of loud blues bands and, going to shows and whatnot, they have these really big, dense build-ups, that get really loud right on the big five chord at the end of the form, and then all of a sudden, boom, it drops down, and all of a sudden you're,
Mm-hmm.
comes really low, and
Yeah.
that change, I feel like, the best, as somebody who hates roller coasters, this is kind of a weird analogy, but it's like kind of like that feeling of riding a swing or a roller coaster in a sense. And it can be that visceral when you play even something like your ukulele, if you can tap into experiences like that. Yeah.
Nice. Um, there was something that, again, I brought this up like just a few minutes ago, but unless I figured out how to apply it to my practices, I
Mm-hmm.
really wouldn't think about dynamics much at all. So one of the things that for me that really helped was, let's say, because again, it's easy to say, okay, loud we know, medium we know, soft we know, right? I wanted to be able to attach numbers, to attach tags to it. So like,
Yes.
let's say I'm just practicing one chord and just, or one progression even, you know, like let's say
Mhm.
a doo-wop progression, C, A minor, you know, we'll do the D minor to G7. And what I would try to do is I would say, okay, I'm going to try and play this at, you know, 80% and then 70% and then 60% and see if I can actually hear what that 10% feels like, and then try to practice, you know, going from 20% to 60 and then drop it down to 40, you know, see if you can figure out how to control and how to mentally, you know, assign these values, you know, because again, it's more than just loud and soft. There's so many things in between. And not only that, even like Hawaiian music, for example, you have certain hits that are louder than others, and even like in a vamp, you know, so like that in
Nice.
itself is such a big lesson on why dynamics is so important. Because
Yeah.
yes, I could do everything the same, and it sounds okay, but compared to, you know, there's so much
Mhm.
difference already with just that control. So, you know, I would do everything from my progressions that I'm playing through, and trying to give different values. um, when I was doing scales, um,
Ah,
I would try, like, you know, start soft and get loud and then come back down and go soft. Or I would say certain hits I would try to spike, or you know, or give different wave values. So I would maybe start loud and try to do at least two waves before I end the scale. You know, things like that. You know,
yeah.
um, and especially in the style that you play, like some of the most gorgeous things that you do are when you do the ballads, and ballads just aren't all soft. You have these spikes where the swells, where that it just punches you in the face. You know.
Yes, yes, yes. I like that. I like swells too. I think that's, and part of it too. I mean, I've tried to like understand where this comes from, but my theory right now is that it's just growing up in Hawaii, being kind of like so connected to the ocean and whatnot, and that sound, I think that's kind of a nice, or can be at a minimum a nice little thing to play with as far as dynamics goes. Developing a line, right?
Yeah.
Because like if something just ebbs and flows like this, we can just kind of assign that as loud and soft in a sense, right? And I think that works well. I mean, that's one of the things that I challenge when you brought up ballads, and it kind of has this almost circular
Yeah.
kind of feel to it, which I think is kind of nice. So
Now, Bree, that is not a dumb question. Bree's question was, is dynamics just about loud and playing softer? Um, so I mean, it can be, but there are these, like, so if you watched Neal like 7 minutes ago, he was actually adding um, some vibrato in there as well, which helps taper that sound. I mean, all of this to me is packaged in within that umbrella. When we talk about dynamics, it's how you're phrasing certain things, it's how you're manipulating that sound to, like Neal just said, that ebb and flow. So again, different ways of speaking. So yes, there is, you know, high and low of volume, but there's also, for example, you'll see Neal go from a strum with the index to like the thuddy side of his thumb, and not only does it give you a little bit less volume, which again dynamics wise, but that tone difference makes a big change as well. So there's so many little things that really does fall under the umbrella of dynamics, and that's why to me it was so important for today to kind of do what we're doing and kind of discussing what we think of when we say dynamics,
Well,
because
yeah, and I was just going to add that the other thing too about dynamics is I think of it as nuance as well, right?
yes.
So, um, think of it as if you're going to say a phrase and you're going to repeat a phrase like I'm going to dinner. I'm going to dinner. I am going to dinner. Like those are all three different ways of saying the same thing and they each mean something different. And that's one way you can utilize dynamics is it's just another way, because remember, I think that I don't remember if you guys brought this up, that music is a language. Think of it as like a foreign language, and you want to be able to use, dynamics to be able to help you express yourself to the best of your ability.
And Stephanie, that's a fantastic question. So she's saying, does this mean including slides, pull-offs, and hammer-ons?
Can.
It can. Absolutely it can. Because again, if it changes, the phrasing a bit, again, one of the biggest reasons for me when I'm using some of the pull-offs is that I don't want to hit like every single note. I'll do something like, and have that like cascading feel, right? And that's how, again, we can manipulate these techniques to change our dynamics. But if I kept it at the same volume, it's not quite the same compared to having that delicate, like, ebb and flow. Again, utilizing that deliberately. I think.
Yeah. And I was just going to mention, is it a feel thing? It can be, I think sort of basic definition of dynamics is, loud and soft kind of thing, but it also, I think we all think, encompasses feel and just general musicality, because you can definitely tell, like, if somebody has practiced and learned something, as writ versus somebody that has learned it, internalized it, and then plays it with dynamics. It's a very different. There's a sincerity you hear.
Oh, that's a lovely way
when somebody plays with dynamics. Yeah.
Yes, and the muting from the recent lesson. Yes, all of that comes into play of how to manipulate these phrases and make it your own way of speaking.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And Neal, do you happen to have a quick segment that you could really showcase when you would use extreme dynamics in your playing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I got one for you. So, no, so I mean, dynamics. I like that way that you put that, Sarah. There is a certain level of sincerity that comes with that, because it takes such a focus of attention to detail,
Yeah.
because between any 2 points, right, between anything, there's like an infinite amount of dots, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, like, between whatever loud is to you, whatever soft is to you, there definitely is an infinite amount of points too. That's where I think it's good to think about on an instrument like that's small, like the ukulele, because we have a pretty small range as far as volume goes in comparison to, like, say, a Marshall stack or something. a little extreme, but you get the idea.
Yes.
But yeah, and that kind of focus to attention takes a lot of time, I think. And, if with that amount of time, it'll take a certain level of sincerity and honesty, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
But so come back to the little thing that we can do here. I always use I always use 2-5-1s as examples, because we can kind of get a good idea of some of the harmonic movement. Now, I love all these questions and I'm reading the chat too as it's coming up, and I love all of this. This is fantastic, because everyone's asking wonderful questions, because the thing is, we're talking about time dynamics, and let's say specifically with volume right now, that element is interconnected with all of these other ones. And while it's good to try to isolate and practice that single element, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. So those techniques and things like that help you produce dynamics. Like I think the pull-off was fantastic, Craig, like as an example. Like that really just makes a nice cascading kind of sound that comes with the technique, Speed and whatnot also kind of plays into that. So that being said, let's say I'm going to do this 2-5-1, and I'm just going to do a bar on the 2, or D minor 7. I'm going to do a bar on our G dominant 7.
Oh, wait, hold on real quick, Neal. I think something's wrong. Try strum again?
Yeah.
Oh, I said low G, that's why.
Oh, so bad. So
I know, you
bad.
made me sweat a little bit, too. I was like, oh no.
Sorry.
Microphone.
Terrible. Continue, Neal.
See, I miss this stuff. This is what we should be in person making fun of each other right now. I love you too, Craig. I love you too. All right, so we're doing this. We have our 2, and we have our 5, and then we have 2 measures of the 1, just so we can really feel at rest. Yeah, we'll say. Okay. So I know that just really colors that C really nicely. Oh, so good. Okay. I digress as usual. Okay, so if I do this, and I'm just gonna swing it, right? I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 1. What we can do from here, when we play anything, is we can establish what is normal, right? And normal is relative, right?
Yes.
So whatever normal is to you, let's just say in our little song that we're playing right now, our 251, that this is normal, right? What I'm gonna say, if this is normal, let's, like Craig was saying, attach a number to it. Like, let's say 50%, okay? That's gonna give us some room to go down. Hopefully you can hear it, but I'm gonna go down to maybe like a 25 when I come around again, right? So here's that C major 7. Nice and soft. Kind of turns into a whisper. You can start to hear things that you wouldn't hear before, which are really nice, right? But let's say we want to be a little bit stronger, create something a little bit louder. I'll take the top of the form again.
Which is, by the way, a fantastic way to remind the band that we're going to start from the head, or we're going to turn it around. I mean,
Yes.
people ask us, how do we know what's happening on stage when it looks like we're like just kind of winging it? We are winging it.
Yes.
But
Yes. Oh, but real quick,
yeah.
one person did actually ask about the fingerings you're using, I think just wanting to know what frets you're holding for the chords.
Oh, yes, of course, yeah. So I'm doing a D minor 7, and so if I'm going from the top string down to the bottom with the grip, that's going to be 2, 2, 1, 3.
Awesome.
I just like to bar this. Either one is fine for sure. I go to G7, which is going to be 0, 2, 1, and 2 over here. You give a little flick to the left to make some room for your ring finger. And you gotta love this. This is one of the best changes on the ukulele. G7, to that C major 7, 0, 0, 0, and then that 2 on the bottom. Just like that.
Oh, I can't do this. Let's do that. There we go. Take that off. Oh.
Hey, nice, good.
Let me see if I can squish this.
So we're doing this 2-5-1 and we're looping, right? I encourage you, if you got your ukulele, why don't you strum along? This will be kind of fun.
Oh, you're doing that.
Yeah, so we can just do from here. Let's say that the start is going to be our D minor 7, and of course our end is going to be C major 7, right? We can plot a point here, let's say low, and we're going to make C major 7 high, or soft to loud. And so maybe we have our 50% now. So what if I start whatever 25% might be? Let's cook that a little bit. So why don't you grab your D minor 7, and let's find a regular volume first, right? And let's just hang out just for a moment, right? That's what I meant by cook. Let's let that chord sit. Okay? And now if we just ease up, now we have a little bit more room up top, so to say, because we're softer, right? This is our new 25. Now we go to G7, let's say that's our 50. So we're back to normal. And take off, we're off at C. And this will be, let's say 75. Okay. Let's try that again, just for fun. So we're gonna drop down, big jump. Let's go to G7 here. Back to normal, 50%. Big C major 7. Now, just for fun, one time, let's drop it down to like 5% on D minor 7, please. Big change, right? Nice. And last one here. Let's see how big of a difference we can make. So let's say really low on the bottom, really high on the top. So we'll go 1, 2 from the bottom. We have really low. Right? G7. And then we get to kind of be really big. I'm sorry if this is loud. C major 7. And release. So that's kind of one way to start to kind of be just conscious of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great way to
I do this.
practice.
Yeah, totally, totally. I do this with in a lot of my workshops. Is that we'll hold like a chord, and I do this actually with or was doing this a lot with the kids too, just to kind of bring in their attention because we'll hold a chord and we'll just strum something. So let's hold C, and let's do the calypso or island strum. Yeah, the down, down, up, down. Right. So same thing. Let's find our 50%. So just strum along with me, going down, down, up, down, or C. C, right? And all I'm going to do, I'm not going to say anything this time, but I just want you to try to match my volume, all right? So what that's going to take is a sensitive hearing, right? And fortunately enough, you can use your eyes as well, right? Because I'm going to be moving a little bit too, just because that's what I do. So use your eyes too, right? So... It's really big. Let me get some of this something. Oh, sorry, wasn't this? Sorry. Up the roller coaster. Hollywood fade out. So makes it a little bit more interesting to hear, yeah? Those little dynamic changes that way. So
Totally.
that's a nice way to practice. Mm-hmm.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Now I have one exercise that I introduced in ArtistWorks, but this will be a fun one to kind of bring up. Let's see. I'm gonna bring this guy.
I don't know if people can hear Cameron. He's very chatty this morning. He's talking to one of his toys.
So, and this I used in some previous live streams too, but not in this vein. But the numbers that you see there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 3, 4, etc. These are going to be what frets we're going to play on the A string. So that first line, 1, 2, 3, 4, means we're going to pluck the first fret. And Neal, I'm gonna make you small for a second while I do this, if you don't mind. I'm gonna do this. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're still there, dude. I'm gonna get you back in just a second.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. That's the first line. Now, I should bring this up again. There's a big difference between this and, right? Part of that is the control and the deliberateness of letting these notes ring for as long as possible before the next note hits. A really easy way to do that is to make sure these fingers stay on, because what happens is if we pick up the fingers individually right before we play the next note, we're going to hear that note stop a bit. And that's why sometimes when we're playing, we don't get these nice, beautiful notes that ring out. All right, so that's the first thing. Now, so with that said, the numbers not only represent what fret we're going to hit, but how many fingers should be on the fretboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 1, 4, 3, 4. We have 1. So I'm going to drop all 4 fingers. Drop to the 3, back to the 4. Then we have 1, all 4. Drop to the 2, back to the 4. Then we have 1, 3, drop to the 2, back to 3. And the last one, you're going to put all 4 down, and we're going to do 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, that in itself is easy. You know, again, part of it is that combination of the left and right hand timing, so that both fingers hit at the same time, so that we don't hear, right? We want it to be, again, at that same time. But talking about dynamics, again, dynamics you can add to anything that you're already practicing. That's the kind of beautiful thing about it. It doesn't have to be its own separate thing. But I can take something like this, and I'll say, okay, maybe that third column, that is the note I'm going to make a little bit louder. And again, we talked about your starting point. If you start loud, you only have a little bit to wiggle with or work with. So again, try to make everything else softer. So in this case, it'll be I'm gonna do every line 4 times. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1. But again, not only are you practicing your left and right hand coordination with this, but you're starting to work in those dynamics to really again build that control. We're always, as teachers, we're always trying to find ways to make your practices way more efficient than we had it when we first started. That's why we're teaching. We're trying to break it down for you to save time, right, and save energy. But again, I could add like 2 columns instead, or I could stagger, which notes are stronger. But the more you do things like this, then instinctively, when you're playing a song, let's say "Somewhere the Rainbow," and even just within that phrase, you can feel, like Neal said, that ebb and flow. You can feel that already setting the mood compared to just a straight. It's a very, very different feel, and even if you're just playing rhythm, it affects so much. That's the thing too, where people think, oh no, I'm not that advanced of a player. No, again, if you already speak with dynamics in your regular talking voice, it's the same mentality that you can apply to your ukulele. It's that easy. It doesn't have to be this big mental shift, but it gets the ball rolling and makes you start paying attention to how you're utilizing this voice in addition to everything else that you're doing. So to me, it doesn't have to be as complicated as people think when they hear dynamics. Oh my gosh, there's just so many things. But yeah, I absolutely love, again, taking stuff that you're already doing, songs that you already play and love, and see how much you can change just from volume changes. And then applying other things like Neal talked about, like the hammer-ons and pull-offs, because that, again, changes the dynamics of that song. And I always tell people, too, I'm very hesitant to be like, oh, keep learning all these different songs. For me, I'd rather you focus on one song and be able to play it 1,000 different ways. That's to me like where that focus should be, because we get stuck on just the mentality is like, oh, I can play 100 different songs, but you don't feel like it's like your own. It's not honed in enough. Like Sarah said, you can tell the people who spent months with one song and how much more natural it comes off, just like preparing a speech. For the people who like me have a really hard time winging it sometimes compared to being rehearsed, so it's all of that comes together. Are there other things that were kind of milestones for you, Neal, as you kind of progressed with your playing? Did what moments kind of were like, wow, I can do that now, or that's the feeling where I really wanted to go with?
Oh yeah. I can think of 2, kind of directly. The first one was understanding that the timbre of your instrument will change with the volume that you play. Yeah. So let's unpack that, right? So timbre, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, often refers to texture of an instrument. It's the reason why that I can play C on an ukulele, I can play C on a trumpet, and I can play C on a piano, and they're all going to sound like 3 different instruments, even though they're the same pitch, right? But this can be a really illuminating thing, and it was for me. And actually, Stevie Ray Vaughan is a good example of this, because when he does like a lot of his like Tin Pan Alley Blues, I think it's called, like that one it's really great because it's this big sound, and he's really soft and quiet, and his guitar sounds very different from when he's playing something that's a little bit more kind of loud and in front of you, like Texas Flood. And so I think choosing like a note, like let's take A, right? I think finding out different ways and listening to that sounds like at different volumes, I should say, is a great way to get comfortable with that. So this is, I would say, would be my ceiling. And I apologize if this is a little obnoxious. You can kind of hear a little bit of the string even slapping back on the fretboard. You can hear a little twang almost. Yeah, I'll try not to do my BB King thing and stay still. But if I go softer, it doesn't have that same like sharp attack, and it has this nice rounded sound, and that was really illuminating to me, because you can take a passage that you already have. It doesn't have to be even really complex, and just by thinking about that little change in dynamic as far as it relates to tone, yeah, it can really make your playing sound really expressive. So Europa, good example. That's a song with a lot of feel. So like is the melody, yeah, in the beginning. So just kind of playing around with it a little bit. I might be strong and then soft and then strong and then soft, or loud and then soft, loud and soft, right? That little couple notes there just makes that real strong note sound like you're just landing on a little pillow in front of you, And I think that's kind of sweet almost, So that was really illuminating to find that out. Yeah. The other thing too is this, as it relates to a solo ukulele player, yeah, is especially when I really started focusing on playing jazz on ukulele, my main focus was chord melody, and I wanted to play every single melody note with a chord. And it was because I wanted, at that point especially, to be exactly like Lyle Ritz, to go like, that chord type of thing like that. And really focusing on that for the past, I don't even know, 4 or 5 years, more than that actually at this point. But one of the things that's been really nice as an arranger is playing with the dynamics can make arranging a little bit easier. Yeah, because you don't, a lot of times it's really easy just to focus again, like on just notes, chords, and that type of arrangement. But if you really think about something like, I arranged this version of These Foolish Things, my goodness, These Foolish Things. And I wanted to play it upbeat, and I couldn't play all those chords fast enough, cleanly, to like what I wanted. So what I did instead is I said, okay, I'm going to play the role of two people. I'm going to be my own rhythm player, and I'm going to be my own melody player. Or let's take it in like I'll be a guitar player and a horn player at the same time. Yeah. So as a guitar player, right, what I'm going to do dynamically is be really soft and sit behind the beat, behind the melody. Yeah. So I might do something like, it starts off like this, right? It's like a vamp for the song. But if I bring my dynamic down a little bit, I bring the volume down, change the dynamic, I should say. And I make my picking a little bit louder. It sounds like I'm playing two instruments, yeah? Or at least it's easier to try to separate those two sounds a little bit, yeah? So some of those notes the chords can sit behind you, and then the other ones can
Well, even like, Benny Chong, La Ritz, like a lot of times when you're hearing these old recordings, you're like, wait, is that two people? It's the same kind of like, oh my gosh, and you watch them live, you're like, oh, it's just one dude, like, it's amazing. And not, talking about control, you and Sarah do this really well, where even on a low G instrument, you're changing. You're not doing a the same right hand strum all the way across all four strings the same, because the low G would overtake the rest of the instrument. So even on your approach on when you're just doing a regular strum, you're having control where you're kind of holding back a little bit more on the G a lot of times, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize. I mean, that's the one thing that as much as I tease low G players, um, there are a lot of people who don't hone that in, and all you hear is that low G just banging around. So it takes way more control to actually make it fit within that body. I feel like, um
Yeah.
so to me, I love, I do enjoy low G. Oh, that just leaves a weird thing in my mouth. I uh, there's a time and
I
place. There's
appreciate
a
the
time and
no, I'm
place. I
just
tried.
kidding.
I tried. I tried.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, no, but I give you credit, because that is a completely different control thing with that right hand. Um, but yeah, it's just I always told you and Sarah that how much I appreciate how much time you spent on just that. Um, but yeah, again, the big thing is, let's start talking a little bit about some of the other techniques you use to kind of control those dynamics. Like someone mentioned earlier, the muting thing. The muting thing is so dang important, because once those strings are being, ringing out, you can't really do a ton, while that's happening. So, what the biggest control we have is honing in the time that those notes are ringing for, and there's so much power behind that. Having these big staccato hits to really bring it home, or lead you to the next thing, or you're looking for the more metal things where you want things just to be ringing for as long as possible. But it all goes hand in hand. Uh, of how, again, we manipulate our sound, and how we manipulate it to create these different phrases. So to me, like, the biggest, yeah, I really think, go back to some of the songs that you already know and memorized, and see if you can create completely different feelings. Oh, there was a great question. I'm sorry that I missed it. There was a question I meant to answer about dynamics, and should I try to figure out what the original songwriter intended before kind of mucking with it. Um, yes and no. I mean, there's a time and place, like for Hawaiian stuff. I definitely would try to figure out as much information as I could about the history, and what the song is actually talking about. But like pop songs, you got to remember too. A lot of songwriting, especially the pop stuff, is like they write the lyrics, they write the melody, and then a producer goes in and adds all of this other stuff to it. And it doesn't even have to be what the original songwriter intended at that point. It's really up to the producer, which is kind of scary. But
Yes, it is.
um, but that's the role of the producer, is to the instrumentation, the kind of vibe that they do, because it could flip on a dime, like how quickly it can change genres even. Um, so I mean, that's why I like songwriters who have the control over everything, because then everything is intended as their vision. Where a lot of songwriters now will sell their songs, and a producer will take them and just do all kinds of stuff with them, whether or not it was their intent.
Mhm.
So to me, it really is nice to be able to do your own thing with songs.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question and a good point. I know that's been a topic of conversation on the Ukulele Friends panel that
Mm,
you guys have been doing a lot of, and um, I, I have, it's a really interesting point because I feel like you should try to get educated if you can, right? To like the best of your ability
mhm.
and try to learn as much as you can. I think regardless of the genre, for
Yeah.
sure. And like if you can understand what Henry Mancini was thinking when he wrote Moon River, wouldn't that be absolutely lovely
Mm,
to
yeah.
channel in your playing? But that being said, right, it's not enough to just know, right? You need
Yeah.
to act too. So there is a certain point where after acquiring and acquiring and acquiring, if I think with the right intent, kind of holding something like that with care, and still making a statement that you are an individual,
Yeah.
I think is important.
Well,
Yeah.
even for example, there's a song called Lullaby that we covered from
Yeah.
uh, why am I drawing a blank? Fluke Uke. Uh,
Jim,
Jim.
Elof?
Jim. Yeah. So Jim wrote the song for their and Liz for their wedding day, and to me, when I first heard it, without knowing that story behind it, I actually had a bunch of like memories pour in of my parents and with the lyrics and everything. So I had a completely different interpretation of the song, and I loved hearing their story of it. But when I perform it, I'm thinking of my own experience with it, and so I mean there is
Yes.
yeah, I mean, so yes, there songs are meant to be shared, and their stories and then how you relate to them and how you portray them can be completely different, and that's totally fine. But I did want to know like what originally it was, just
Oh,
to know and describe their story and the differences in that, and we changed the arrangement to make it feel a certain way too, so like little things, that there's so much power behind creating, like we said, your own versions of these stories, of these songs. Yeah, it was just an incredible moment, and we for a while, like I kept crying on stage when we played that song. It
yeah.
took me like three gigs to like, yeah. Well, there was also like there's a song that a lot of people don't know in one of our original CD that Sarah wrote about her mom, and I don't think we've ever been able to play that one live yet. It's just, yeah. So it is what it is, but it I love seeing people take chances. I love seeing people say, it might not be as good as the original, which that's okay, but this is my interpretation, this is my version of the song. Play with these more, again, try to make these completely different. One of my things I used to do with my students was I said, create 5 different feels for this song next week, and that's, so they had like a
Mhm.
reggae version, they had like, more pop, and and that's the kind of um, things as a musician I wish more people really took the time to do, to manipulate the things they already know, rather than thinking they have to keep learning more songs or more techniques. It's about
Right.
applying them, because again, there is a certain point where we're not there's nothing new. There hasn't been anything new in ukulele or guitar playing in like tons of years, but it's how they're being applied that's unique and cool and refreshing, and that's where things really connect. Again, stop thinking that there's like this that the endless journey that we talk about is, again, learning how to utilize things that we already know. Look at all the amazing stuff that Jake does. A lot of those
Hmm.
really crazy techniques are based on very fundamental techniques. He might be playing it a million times faster, or
Right.
or in a different way, and mixing and matching in certain ways. But that's the beautiful thing about it. And that's how you're gonna create that unique sound.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. I would hope, like one of the ones I always say is like, we got all these chorded versions, I would hope that somebody will grab a different one, just because it's like we all have a different story to tell, and instead of trying to play like somebody else, I think it's good to be yourself at a certain point, for
Yeah.
sure.
And again, this is almost like the same thing of reading a speech that you're seeing for the first time, compared to like reading a children's book that you've memorized and know the nuances and how to like, yeah, it's just a difference in your performance and how you're projecting all of that, and that's why we say, most people forget how much time we sat and just played one song over and over and over and over and over.
To this
Yeah.
day, yeah, for sure. I was practicing earlier this month, the song "I Wish You Love," and I think I played that. I would say, definitely every day. I apologize. I did it on every stream too, but I just like kept repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And just within 2 weeks now I can sing it like the back of my hand, just because now it's just natural. You don't have to think about it. So
I don't know what the back of my hand really looks like. You stare at your hand that much.
yeah, sure, look right here.
Oh, aloha, Brian Tolentino, and Brian is again, he's like the expert on this kind of stuff too. We would be in workshops and he would talk about the ebb and flow, and people would get confused, saying, "Oh, which way is ebb? Which way is flow?" And but that's how serious a lot of these attendees were, because they wanted to understand every little part.
Oh,
But then you would lose like the bigger meaning of things, yeah. So, but it's
right. Don't lose the forest for the leaves, yeah. Right, yeah. I
oh
get
my
it though. I
gosh,
get it.
oh my gosh, and I for those of you watching and really pushing their skills, I challenge you for 1 week, just play one song and try different things with it. I promise you, it's going to be such a rewarding experience.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Use your
Yeah.
imagination. Use your imagination too. You
Yeah.
know, just exercise ideas that you like. Like I like the thing, like, oh, so we're playing Hallelujah or something, or let's play a song, but like change the groove. Let's play it in a reggae version or something. Who knows what that'll sound like? That might be just goofy, but the process is fun, and the process is a good part of the practice too.
Yeah. Now, with that said, that Ukulele Friends Hawaii, which I know we'll have you on board for one of them for sure. It's a panel of Jake Shimabukuro, Brian Tolentino, Herbalta Jr., Kama Hopkins, Halehaku Seaberry, Hoku Zudemeister, Sarah and myself, Brittany Paiva. Am I forgetting anyone else? Asa Young.
Yeah,
But we meet and talk story every Monday, Thursday. Thursdays we have some really amazing guests that even for me, I've been honored to be a part of, because I didn't really get into the Hawaii music scene until, well, never really in that sense. I was never, I really grew as a musician up on the mainland, where I developed everything, but had those tie-ins, and I knew like of these amazing musicians. I've seen them live, but I never like talked to them on a kind of one-on-one basis, and to be able to connect all of these things have been so incredible. But we have an announcement that July 11th, we're actually doing a mini festival, or Craig Presents the panel, and we're going to sit down and have like a 4 to 5 hour event with the panel and talk about some really deep things, because I want people to understand that these things don't happen just because there's so much blood, sweat, and tears. There were so many stories and challenges along the way. Even with Jake, I'm really interested to hear what some of the biggest challenges he had to go through to get to the point where he's at now, and so there's so many things that we're going to discuss while having some fun and workshops and play-alongs as well. But July 11th, save the date. Oh, I can put the PayPal. Thank you for reminding me. Now, do you mind maybe playing a shorter version of a song that can really showcase some of the things that we were talking about today?
Yeah. Let's do hear me tune real quick. Yeah, for sure. So we'll do this one. So this is a this is a Django Reinhardt tune called New Edges. And I actually besides Django, I first heard this in person. The memory I always think of, at least, is I was teaching at this folk music camp up in Canada, these past 2 years, and one of the lovely things about playing at folk camps is there's always music being played around everywhere. And so one of the jam sessions, there was this fiddler, and you could only hear this, in the middle of this forest, just this like piercing violin just traveling through the trees, and it was this beautiful melody. And so I try to channel that, because it's kind of interesting to approach it that way, in terms of dynamics. So just to set the scene, I want you to put yourself in that forest real quick and hear what this sounds like.
That's fantastic. Yeah, there's so much going on, and again, when you're playing with this kind of stuff too, it doesn't have to be super super fancy. We can take something like you were mentioning earlier, like a doo-wop progression, and start trying to manipulate it in a way that you can feel that rhythm. You can, again, little things like that. Even as just a rhythm backing, there's so much we can do with that,
Yes.
and that, you know, the big yeah that's the biggest thing that we want you guys to take away with. Again, it's going to be as hard or as easy you want it to be, but even
Mhm.
just thinking about it is going to change your playing. Even just, and that's
Yes, totally, totally. I couldn't agree more. Yes.
oh my gosh. But thank you guys so much for sticking around and uh, being part of this kind of journey with us today. And again, there is in 2 weeks' time, there is a workshop that Sarah's going to be doing on exploring chord melody. If you've never done chord melody before, you're in good hands. If you've been doing chord melody, you're in good hands. There's going to be
Yeah.
the all range thing. And there's like a 9-page PDF that she created over the past 2 weeks for that. That's up at our website right now at craigandsarah.com. You definitely want to get that downloaded before we start that workshop. Um, Again, Monday, Thursdays on Facebook, Ukulele Friends Hawaii. Neo Chin is doing live streaming on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. And Wednesdays via Koloha Live. Um, July 11th, the Mini Mini Festival. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to keep it within like 4 to 5 hours. I hope, but there's just so many amazing things to talk about, and share, and oh my gosh, and we do have some big announcements to make a little bit later. Um, but Sarah and I cannot thank you all enough for your support, especially in these trying times. Thank you guys again, and like I mentioned earlier, if anyone needs someone to talk to, send us an email. We're all dealing with this in many different ways, and we want to make sure you're okay. That just send us an email, have a chat with us. We're here for you guys. um and again, thank you to our ArtistWorks students who popped in today as well, and thanks Sarah for going through the kind of demo with that. And Neal, thank you again so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to chat and to hear you play, and you know, low G be damned. It's just it's.
Yeah, likewise, likewise. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
but it
Thank you for
is,
sure.
again, the silver lining with all of this has been, we've been able to have a breath and just think about and reprioritize. And that's why, I know there's a lot of ukulele players out there that are learning so much right now because there's so many things going on. But I don't want you to forget that you have to put the time in and try to master little things at a time. Because again, it's so hard when you have all of these things in your head that you want to do. You have to be able to prioritize what your goals are, what your focus is going to be, because that's how you're going to make the most out of this time and be as efficient as possible. Um, yeah. And with that said, and again, if you guys have any questions or suggestions for more live streams down the road, please feel free to email us. We have a form on our website. Um, Neil Chin, we'll see you tomorrow morning for your live stream. And thank you
Hey, thank you.
guys again so much. And again, the PayPal. Oh, I can't reach it from this corner, but that PayPal link. We are going to be splitting that with Neil today. So any donations today from that, yeah, we thank you guys so very very much. We hope you have the rest of your fantastic Sunday. Um, yes, we're very fortunate to have you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Mhm.
Aloha.
Thanks for everything.